Thank you, Secretary Johnson, for your testimony. Do you believe the Fourth Amendment applies to third-party records?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by third-party records, sir. What do you mean?
The telephone company records.
You're asking me a legal question.
It's a pretty big question.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Senator. I'm not sure I know how to answer that.
Do you believe the government has the right to have bulk collection of records from millions of individuals without a warrant?
I see. That is, I respectfully say that is beyond my competence as the Secretary of Homeland Security to answer in any intelligent legal way. I wouldn't want to hazard a legal judgment on that.
Here's the problem, though. I mean, your agency's in charge of cooperating and being part of this. And that's the whole debate we have in our country is over whether you should do this. And your testimony, you complain about encryption. Why do you think that companies are choosing to go in the direction of more encryption? It's because they feel you're taking our information without a warrant. So I would hazard that, and I would propose that there is no person named Verizon. So you do not have an individualized warrant under the Fourth Amendment when you say to Mr. Verizon, we want hundreds of millions of records. And this is a debate, and it's an important one. And if we're going to complain about encryption, and we're going to complain about individuals wanting privacy, we really need to have a thorough discussion and understanding of the Fourth Amendment and the complaints by many of us that you're doing something without a warrant. The other thing I would say is with encryption, if you get a warrant, I'm one of the biggest civil libertarians there is, but if you have a warrant, I'm fine with you getting and unencrypting data from people. I'm also fine with you going 20 hops into the data. I don't care how deep you go into it, just call a judge. What we need to do is have a system where judges are on call 24 hours a day, but still there's a judge. The reason we separated the judiciary from the police is a very important one. The civil rights era, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people were spied upon in our country. War protesters were spied upon in our country. The reason we separate the judiciary from the police is to try to prevent the possibility of bias. And people says, oh, well, the government's good, but look at the times when the government wasn't so good. You know, the FBI director recently pointed back and talked about the times when Martin Luther King was spied upon. That's why we want these procedural protections. And so I think as you look forward and as you talk about this, just realize that when you have your doubts about encryption, think back to the times in our history when we didn't do so good a job. And those of us who want to try to protect privacy are trying to make sure that no sort of institutional bias could enter into our legal system again. And I think it's a very, very big question. And there are some of us who say, by all means, get all the information you need on terrorists, but get a warrant with someone's name on it. If it doesn't work well, put more judges there and have them on the phone 24 hours a day. We do it for the police. The police don't go into a home unless there's a commotion going on or imminent danger. The police stand on the curb at 3 in the morning and they call a judge. We should do the same for American citizens, and we really shouldn't be collecting their data in bulk. That's why we're mad, and that's why people are attempting to encrypt information, is to prevent the government from doing illegal searches of our records.
May I comment? May I respond? The problem, and I believe I gave a speech to 3,000 people at a cybersecurity conference last week where I brought up the subject of encryption. Wasn't real popular for doing that. The problem we have is that the marketplace is demanding deeper and deeper encryption into places where the warrant authority of the government does not extend. So the analogy I used last week in that speech was, imagine after the advent of the telephone, the warrant authority of the government only extends to the U.S. mail.
I'm not sure I understand that. Why would the warrant authority not extend?
Because with encryption, there are communications that records of which are simply not being maintained because of the added security that is being put in place because of the privacy demands that exist in the marketplace.
which is a response to the government collecting all of our records. So you have to realize that the real culprit is government. You've been so overzealous in vacuuming up all of our records without a legitimate warrant that everybody around the world, it's cost the United States billions of dollars in the sense that people in Europe around the world don't want our stuff. They don't want any of our hardware embedded in any of their computer code because they're worried that the government's going to stick stuff in there and that you'll have backdoor access and you're demanding access, so no one wants to buy our stuff. So it's been a big problem for our companies selling things worldwide, but it's a response to a government that didn't have, I think, a real sense of decency towards privacy. The companies are in response to your behavior.
Well, I'm in favor of a balanced solution to the problem. In fact, it is now harder for law enforcement to detect criminal activity out there. And I think it's something we need to address one way or another. And I'm in favor of a balanced approach that takes account of the privacy interest of the American public.
But you think it's a balanced approach to collect all of the phone records and store them in Utah without an individualized warrant? You think that's a balanced approach?
I don't have a particular comment or specific view about the past. I am concerned about the future and the direction we are headed and the effect it is having on our ability to detect crime and potential terrorist activity. And I think
but here's the question. See, the president's own privacy committee recommended that we quit collecting these. He has the power to stop it at any point in time, and yet he's not doing a thing. His own privacy committee that he appointed said that you've gone too far in the bulk collection of records, and the president's done nothing to stop it, although this is an executive order program that he could stop at any point if he chose to. I don't think that's a balanced approach to continue doing what his privacy committee specifically said exceeds the bounds of what the Constitution intended.
I think we're looking forward for Congress to act in this area. So.
Okay, thanks, Senator Paul. I did assure the